Okay. I'm actually doing this recording a year after the whole COVID distance learning thing, but it didn't turn out as well last year, and I just want to have it on the record. So, Chapter 1, Lesson 1, the very first lesson of the year. And the first section we're going to do is about the first humans. And it covers millions of years, this very first lecture, and it's very vague. We don't know much about these first humans. They're from prehistoric times, meaning the times before history. And as a history teacher, we rely on writings mostly to teach. And since there are none, and we have cave paintings and sculptures and such, there's not much we know other than the tools they used and the paintings that they made. But we also know that this is probably the largest period of human history. So let's quickly take a look. So we're relying on archaeology of the excavation, the digging up of, like I said, tools and sculptures and other things that we can try and understand these peoples better, to analyze them. The first human-like creatures emerged in Africa around 3 to 4 million years ago. These were not modern humans as we are, but these were human-like creatures. Some people would suggest that modern human evolved from these human-like creatures. Others would disagree. Homo sapiens, or humans like us, our archaeologists suggest, people who've dug up the bones and done the carbon dating, and how old are these bones or these tools that they're using. Their bones were first found around 300,000 years ago. These people were mostly hunter-gatherers, and what that means is that they would follow the herd. So you have an animal that these people would hunt. And as the herd moved from location to location, these people would move from location to location, meaning that they wouldn't stay in one place for long. So it makes it extra hard to study these people, although maybe the herds migrated in similar places year after year, and maybe these tribes would come back to the same cave or the same location. And we're not 100% sure on any of this stuff. We don't certainly know the amount of these really human-like creatures or early humans, depending on your point of view, that were alive, but we're talking not probably big numbers at all. They would, hunt, and then other times often women or children would gather berries and stuff that they had learned over the 250,000 years were safe to eat in the area. So this was an all-day thing, right? You're either hunting, or you're gathering, or maybe taking care of children. These people didn't have time, certainly, to create all of the things that is necessary for a culture to be considered a civilization. What we do know, though, is that around the year 12 to 15,000 years ago, in areas like Egypt, Mesopotamia, India, China, these people started farming. And what you may notice is that these farming civilizations all began around rivers, the Nile River in Egypt, the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in Mesopotamia, the Ganges River in India, the Yellow River in China. And these rivers would flood every year. And I don't know if you guys are like I was as a kid. When I was a kid, I had a buddy who lived down near the big Tonga Dam, and we would go down there and fly fish. It was fun, but my mom would always tell me to wear my flip-flops, my shoes. There could be glass on the bottom of the river, but after I turned the bend, right, I would take off my flip-flops and put my feet into that bottom of that river. And man, that dirt down there is really, if you've ever done it, you know what I'm talking about. It's a unique dirt. It's really soft and squishy. It's all up your toes. Um, and when the rivers flood, it's this dirt at the bottom of the rivers that kind of ends up on the sides of the rivers where it had flooded, and it creates this new fresh soil. So every year, these rivers have fresh soil you can plant. Now, my wife, um, she's really into gardening. And one thing she's learned is that you can't plant the same thing every year in the same soil, unless, of course, you're composting or using fertilizer, because the soil will lose its nutrients. But these people who live near rivers were able to plant the same foods, the same years, in the same locations, because there was always new, fresh soil on the top of this land where they could, the soil would never lose nutrients. Which is why these farming civilizations exist there, because this area was the soil never went fallow, and it never ran out of nutrients, and now nothing grows there. We'll come back to this theory when we do crop rotation. So along these areas, we find the beginning of farming civilizations and the very first agricultural revolution, which begins around 10,000 BC, 12, 15,000 years ago. The six important, and now these people have time. Now you're not spending all your time chasing the wild animals or gathering berries, but you're farming, and you plant, and you water, and you wait. And in that waiting time, these early humans were able to create certain things that are required to create what we call civilizations. And the world's first great civilizations began from these early farming civilizations. Things like governments, religion, a social structure, and maybe most importantly, a writing system, art. And after thousands of years of progression and people kind of staying in that same location because, hey, we got food. Soon thereafter, well, not soon, but a few thousand years later, they learned how to domesticate certain animals, keep them there, and we got a regular meat supply. And we're going to start to see the beginning of great civilizations around these early farming locations.